Essence family, we're going to be speaking briefly about the warriors. We're going to be speaking about Eshu, Ogun, Oshosi, and Osun. One brief story per Orisha to have a general idea of what its function and use is for. So for Eshu, as far as Umifa, there's a specific Odu called Odi Ofumbo. This Odu teaches us that Eshu is the one that separates us from negativity and removes even people that may not have our best interests in mind. It's not that we've done anything personally, it's just Eshu protecting us. A second Odu is Oshel Tura, which represents that Eshu is teaching us that he's a communicator. He's the one that speaks before God for our petitions. He's the one that leaves the Ebo at his destination, and he's the first one to be appeased. There are several Odus teaching us that Eshu is the first one to be appeased, and this is why Eshu is the first. Ogun, he's symbolized by 7 working tools inside a cauldron. The 7 working tools comes from an Odu called Baba Ogunda Meji. This is the tools that Odumila gave to him so he could defend himself. Ogunda Meji teaches that spiritually he descended from heaven to earth with pre-created humans. So this is a very ancient deity. There's some mystical past about him who unfortunately in one lifetime he was not always doing a lot of positive spiritual work, but he learned from his mistakes and evolved into a higher being where now he does good for humanity and he doesn't work day in and day out. Oshosi is an Odu called Oshe Kana, where spiritually he descended from heaven to earth in his tradition. And Oshosi also is the deity that helps us against the judicial system. Also, he's the one that helps us materialize what we think or want in life. There's a sacred story with Oshosi that was a hard lesson for him, but now he learned his lesson. He learned not to judge before attacking, not to draw himself to conclusions before judging somebody. Because unfortunately, Oshosi, there's a story in the Odu Iwori Ogunda, where, and also Ogunda Wori is a version of that, where Oshosi was concerned because they were stealing his offerings from God. He says, you know what, next time I shoot this bow and arrow, may it land on the person taking my offerings. He didn't investigate thoroughly, but he did not know how daunting that was. When he came home, unfortunately, he attacked his mom. His mom said, I was saving the offerings because you haven't eaten, and all you do is work. So then he never forgave himself over that. He says, next time, my powers, I will make sure I think thoroughly before I act. And that valuable lessons is for us too. We're going to acquire and learn so much secrets and rituals, but once again, we cannot just go ham just because we're upset. Let's think about it. Maybe we should let the rituals resolve it now in our own hands, right? Also, the 4th deity, which is the metallic rooster, generally they say he's the staff of a deity called Oduduwa, which is up there. A very tall staff is this one. The smaller version also survived in Cuba to preserve the secrets during colonial times to keep it a secret. That's why we had it small so we could hide it inside a cabinet. One of his functions is that Osun doesn't sleep day in and day out, and that's for a reason. Osun was one of the greatest workers for Obatala's company, but 2 people were very jealous of that and set him up. They attacked one of Obatala's favorite animals and blamed it on Osun. When Osun was sleeping, he didn't know. They meshed all the evidence on his face. He was not aware. He woke up and Obatala warned him, hey, look what your friends have done. So next time, you're not going to be allowed to sleep day in and day out. That's why Osun does not sleep day in and day out, to protect us while we sleep. Osun also warns us of oncoming enemies that we're not aware of. One last story is when Odumila was in a wooden house, and Osun was shaking. He's like, what's going on? What's going on? And Osun was telling them there was termites inside the house. He burned it and overcame it. So Osun protects us in many different layers and ways, also for mental health. And in general, they work together. When a Babalawo gives the warriors, he gives them together, just like the Odu Oguna Masa, in unity their strength. Uolekpa, Ogun, Oshosi work together hand in hand to overcome any challenges. So that's a general description of the warriors. There'll be more to come, but just want to share that with you guys. Thank you. Ashe.